your name or mobile or that any specific number. These all the things that we will not entertain. So you should rename to you with your name. Okay. All the participants.
cellular audio ಮಾಡಲೇಬೇಕಲ್ಲ.
All the participants are requested to mute yourself.
Case study signature.
Recording in progress.
Good afternoon, everyone. The session will start very soon. Kindly stay connected. Suplab sir, shall we begin now? Suplab sir. Sir, shall we start now? Okay. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Dayanand Sagar College of Arts, Science and Commerce, BBA and BCom department welcome all the global participants to the Faculty Development Program Implementation of NEP Roadmap for Quality Education, Research and Academic Excellence, Day 3. The Day 1 and the Day 2 mirrored the new education policy in different ways, and it was quite very informative. To get more insights about national education policy critically and intelligibly, today among us, we have an eminent speaker from Christ University, Dr. Mausumi Goswami. Welcome you, ma'am. To begin with, I would like to invite Professor Rekha MP to render vote of thanks, to render welcome speech. Rekha, ma'am.
Thank you, Professor Goswami. Quote, educating the mind without educating the heart is no education at all, unquote, as said by Aristotle. In order to attain a complete meaning to imparting education, educators must not only focus on developing the cognitive aspects, but also the qualities that make us human and ultimately gives us meaning in our life. This can be achieved only through holistic education. Today, holistic education has become the need for the hour for a sustainable educational system. And that brings all of us together for the third day of the virtual faculty development program titled Towards Sustainable Education System through National Education Policy and Holistic Education. Good afternoon, everyone. I, Rekha MP, Assistant Professor from the Department of Commerce and Management at Dayanand Sagar College of Arts, Science and Commerce, would like to welcome you all to this virtual platform of Faculty Development Program organized by BBA and BCom Department. On behalf of Dayanand Sagar College of Arts, Science and Commerce, I extend my heartfelt welcome to our beloved Chairman, Dr. D. Hemchandra Sagar. I welcome our Vice Chairman, Dr. D. Premchandra Sagar. I also extend my warm welcome to our Secretary, Sri Gali Swami, who have always extended his support in organizing any events, both academic and non-academic. I now take this opportunity to welcome our resource person, Dr. Mausumi Goswami, Associate Professor, Department of Computer Science and Engineering, Christ deemed to be University, Bangalore, who is here to enlighten us on sustainable education system through national education policy and holistic education. I extend a warm welcome to the two pillars of Dayanand Sagar College of Arts, Science and Commerce, that is our principal, Dr. Nagaraj Shenoy, and our vice principal, Professor Hemant Upala, who have always been a guiding force for all the events organized by DSC-ASC. I take this opportunity to welcome our IQAC coordinator, Professor Gurunath, under whose eminent guidance various academic and non-academic program of DSC-ASC has been conducted. I take this platform to welcome our HODs, Professor Murugesha BN, HOD of Commerce, Dr. Suplab Poddar, HOD Department of Management, who have stood with us to organize and make this program a reality. I extend my warm welcome to all the participants for the FDP from within the college and from other esteemed colleges whose presence and active participation had made this three-day FDP completely meaningful. I also extend a warm welcome to all our faculty colleagues who have stood together as a team to make any event, academic and non-academic, a success. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rekha ma'am, for this warm welcome note. Now I request Professor Shima Shahin to introduce today's eminent speaker. Shima ma'am.
Thank you, sir. I, Professor Shima, take privilege to introduce our resource person, Dr. Mausumi Goswami. Dr. Mausumi Goswami is an academician and a researcher having more than 18 years of experience in academics. She is a BE, MTech, MBA, MPhil, and PhD from computer science. Her PhD thesis is in the area of text mining and machine learning. Her research interest includes data science, machine learning, and image processing. Ma'am has presented and published more than 60 research papers and 6 book chapters. Ma'am has got a Best Paper Award in the year 2020 for her work in machine learning. Recently, Ma'am has received Degree of Honor Certificate from Christ Deemed to be University. Ma'am has also worked as a reviewer of journals like PLOS1, Sustainable Computing, and has also been a part of many international conferences as a program committee member, reviewer, a keynote speaker, presenter, and a panel member. Dr. Goswami is a holistic education module developer and a faculty trainer since 2015. Recently, one of her holistic education-based research is accepted for publication in ECS journal. Dr. Mausumi has completed research projects related to term frequency and inverse document frequency-based method for better text representation in the year 2016. Ma'am is an enthusiastic learner with a keen interest in a wide variety of subjects like problem solving, computational intelligence, mathematics, operations research, and computer science. Apart from academic achievements, Ma'am has her expertise in the field of dance, music, and yoga. It is a pleasure to have you today as our resource person for the day and looking forward for a great learning session. We welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you, madam.
Yeah. Thank you, Shima.
Thank you.
ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Now I request Dr. Mausumi ma'am to take over the session.
Yeah,
Ma'am,
thank you
over
very
to
much.
ma'am.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, madam, for the kind introduction. Well, I'm sitting in the library and simultaneously, if I share my screen and the video, that there might be a net bandwidth issue. So I'll just share my screen.
Okay.
Please update if you are able to see the presentation.
Yes, it's
Is it-
visible, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Welcome.
A very good afternoon to all the members who are present here, the dignitaries of the day. A very warm, warm greetings to all the participants who are present today. And we all are trying to learn national education policy, the objectives, what are the objectives, and trying to reach sustainability. United Nations goals, SDG 2030, which is given by United Nations. Now, actually, when we consider my title of the talk, that is towards sustainable education system through national education policy and holistic education, we can take these terms and we can first try to understand what we mean by sustainable education system. What is sustainability in education system? Here, sustainable education system, first of all, means it is a healthy education system. Education system which can help an individual to grow in all different dimensions, to reach the maximum potential we are blessed with, to be able to contribute to the society to its full extent, to be able to utilize the resources which we get from nature in a sustainable way and to optimize their usage. So sustainable education system means an individual who is a lifelong learner, also at the same time knows how to contribute to the society in the most effective, optimal way, also knows how we can bridge the gaps between the Sustainable Development Goals 2030 and the existing situation. Let me tell you just one instance, because many of us who are attending the session, they eat fish. Now, it is said that if we do not take proper caution, very soon there will be more number of plastic than fishes in the ocean. Means what? Our children, or maybe when we grow old, we would not be able to take fish anymore. And if fishes are not there, if the coral reef system, which is there in ocean, which actually helps to create a healthy ecosystem, in that case, there will be many impacts like COVID-19, what we have been facing since last 2 years. So that is the meaning of sustainable education system. It is not only the education system which we are trying to learn. It is not only to become the most optimal learner, lifelong learner. It is also to bridge the gaps of what we have today and what is actually expected. Here it is showing my internet is little unstable. Kindly confirm if it is audible, if I'm audible. Okay. I hope I'm audible because I'm not able to see any chat messages.
Yes,
Thank
you are
you.
audible,
Thank
ma'am.
you, sir.
Welcome.
Thank you very much. Next comes national education policy. So when I say national education policy, NEP, NEP emphasizes the importance of more sustainable, skill-oriented, value-based education. When I consider implementation of NEP in India, which was actually proposed in 2020, 29 July, Karnataka is the first state who announced in the month of August 2020 that yes, we are going to go for implementation of NEP for the first time in India. And we, all of us who are in Bangalore, we have attended multiple number of workshops, multiple training programs, and then we started working how we can take the policy, understand it, and we cannot propose a model curriculum. Yes, that is why today we are here to understand how we can take the policy, why sustainable education system is important, and here comes holistic education. If we summarize the 60-page document, what we have related to National Education Policy 2020, which is uploaded on 29th of July 2020 by MHRD, it is found that the summary is actually holistic education. Holistic education in the sense, the personal skills, the interpersonal skills, the societal skills, the professional excellency, all the skills which are related to the discipline, all the skills which are soft skills, everything together can contribute, and every learner can become an optimal learner to apply them to make India more independent. So that is why we said that holistic education is a part and parcel of the education system which we are trying to implement by using the framework which was proposed in National Education Policy. When I consider this topic and I try to look at the objectives what we have, I can categorize saying that phase one is to understand what is National Education Policy, why do we need National Education Policy, and what are the who will be actually benefited if we implement this policy, and realizing them. Next task is to identify the concerns and focus of National Education Policy, because to understand any education policy, it is very important to understand what are the challenges, why do I need it. Next is to apply qualitative data analysis techniques to understand the critical areas of focus of policy documents and to represent them in a more using some visualization tools so that we get a better idea, a better understanding of the different concerns, different crucial aspects. For example, the course, language, students, etc. Could be related to the fundamental education. Fundamental education.
Where you get listed and unlisted companies. So we are covering all the listed companies, we have training on NEP, as well as additional exchanges. As well as we are also covering unlisted private companies.
I kindly
there are-
request the host to
unmute,
mute the participant.
Please unmute. Please mute.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
So to identify the different crucial aspects, it is very, very important to go through the 60-page document, which is uploaded by MHRD, then to understand where do we fit. Do we fit in the 4 different parts are created in this whole document. I'll demonstrate all of them, and then to understand what actually we should do, what should be the model curriculum if we want to propose something to inspire our stakeholders to ensure that we go towards more outcome-oriented education. These are what we have included in phase 1. So it is understanding and then implementation of the model curriculum. Phase 2 is after implementation, probably it could be only a trial run to understand where do we stand, to collect feedback, to collect 360-degree feedback about the curriculum, maybe the different the parts of the policy which we have tried to emphasize while implementing the curriculum. Once we collect the feedbacks, we can apply AI tools, we can apply various visualization techniques. Also, we can increase the data size, whatever we collect as feedback, and we can make, as we take more amount of data, we can go ahead with different AI, advanced AI tools, like we can go for RNN LSTM algorithm, and we can understand what are the opinions, how positive the opinions are or how negative the opinions are, all the overall idea about the model curriculum, which we try to propose by addressing the current needs and the policy, the 4 different parts of the NEP 2020 document. First of all, we should understand why the policy was proposed. The policy was proposed to address SDG 2030 agenda. When I consider United Nations 2030 agenda, the first agenda is poverty, SDG 2, second agenda is hunger, third agenda is related to health, SDG 3, SDG 4 is related to education, SDG 5 is related to gender equality, SDG 6 is related to energy, SDG 8 is related to economic growth, SDG 9 is related to industry, SDG 10 is related to inequalities on all levels, SDG 11 is related to sustainable communities, 12 is responsible consumption, 13 is climate change, 14 is marine life, SDG 15 is environment, SDG 16 is social justice, and SDG 17 is international collaboration on partnership. Here, SDG 7 I did not mention, but our focus for today's discussion is SDG 4, that is education. The requirements which is there in SDG 4 to meet the requirements of SDG 4, are we competent enough considering the education policy which we started in 1986 and which was refined in 1992. It has been 34 long years. There was no direct refinement. Now, is it sufficient to meet the requirements of 2022 using the old policy? No. So since it was not sufficient, and it is said that the current GDP of India, if we consider, that is 3%. And if we consider NEP 2020, then it is said that in NEP 2020, it is said that 6% funding must be there for education. This has attracted many researchers, and people have started working related to education policy and It is said that the Global Education Development Agenda, reflected in Goal 4 of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development adopted by India in 2015, seeks to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all by 2030. This huge agenda, considering the education, there was a huge gap between the existing, what we have, and the requirement. So to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning, also to give opportunities for all within 2030, only 10 years from 2020. It was very, very important to work rigorously and to propose the draft policy. The draft policy was proposed actually 1 year ago, that is 2019, it was proposed. And then in 2020, 29th July, the NEP, third education policy, was uploaded by MHRD. So when I consider the agenda of SDG 4 education, does the existing education policy, which is 34 years old, sufficiently address the challenges or gaps to be filled? Answer is no. Can the critical targets and the goals, SDGs, of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development be achieved? Answer is no, unless and until we work rigorously considering the gaps which is existing and try to fill those gaps, bridge those gaps. So we need plan of action, we need policy, we need framework. And here comes national education policy. So such a lofty goal would require, which is SDG 4, the entire education system to be reconfigured. Means the entire education system was taken, and then there were many teams, and the previous policies or everything was that itself is a very big research to understand how NEP was proposed. I'm not going into those details because I have a limited amount of time. Now, considering the existing education policy and 1986 policy, which is not sufficient in 2020, by considering the goals of SDG 4, 2030 goals of United Nations, SDG goals of United Nations, a new education policy is required, and that is why NEP is proposed. Here, a very important point is that it is said that the highest population of young people in the whole world is going to have in India. Now, if we can utilize this huge amount of potential what we have, and we can equip them, we can empower them with the right education, with the high quality educational opportunities, then definitely India is going to lead. So with that objective, when we relook at the challenges of educational policy or national education policy, because every education policy, when we try to understand, first level is to understand what are the challenges, which challenges it has to address. And based on that, we understand that why the policy has got 4 different parts, why the policy has given emphasis on few objectives like to encourage universal, empirical, multidisciplinary, discussion-based, analysis-based learning, and also to enhance cognitive development among young children between the age 3 to 6, which was earlier not there. Okay, so now let us understand what are the challenges. Number 1, accessibility. Number 2, affordability. Number 3, quality of education. These are the 3 major challenges which are needed to be addressed by any education policy. What do you mean by accessibility? To understand accessibility, for example, when I started my session, I said that I will not, I disable my video as there might be a bandwidth issue. Means probably if we have the best connectivity, in that case, we can have access to different digital probably media, digital communication, or digital world, connection with the digital world would be the best. Now, this is not the only one barrier. There could be many other barriers. For example, one barrier could be gender-based. So it has many dimensions for accessibility. What are the dimensions? Number one dimension is economic. By economic dimension, we mean everyone in this country are not having same level of income. We have different categories. In that case, how do we ensure that everybody gets access to the minimum resources which is required? Also, we have social dimension. Social dimension means there are many different categories present in a society. How do we ensure that every community present in the society, every categories what we have in the society have equal amount of access to the resources? Also, we have dimension like rural and urban. We know when this digital divide has started, I mean, when we realized during COVID-19, when we started online classes, we have observed that many of our stakeholders used to say that we are not able to attend class due to maybe there was a problem in the power supply, or maybe there was a heavy rain the previous day. So the location, the geographic location is also a dimension. Gender, I already mentioned. It is found that there is a huge gap between two genders, which we consider the accessibility to different resources, considering learner, considering effective learner and optimal utilization of the resources. So can you bridge that gap? Again, disability is another dimension. So when you consider the different services and the resources, are they friendly to disabled people? Digital divide, we already have discussed. Affordability. Affordability dimension, for example, it is mainly due to the poor economic background, or we can say that poverty aspects significantly impact the affordability. And the result has an impact on 3 levels of education. If I consider the existing education system, which we have been actually followed when we studied the primary education, secondary education, and the higher education. In all the 3 different sectors, it is there. Now, when we discuss NEP, then we understand how it is proposed to create a new framework considering the education system. It is no more only 3. It is now 4. Quality of education. Quality of education is very, very important. And to emphasize this quality of education, I just want to say I have included, this is a 2009 report, which is given by NASCAR. Now, what it says, what is NASCAR? NASCAR is National Association of Software and Services Companies. Now, what it says that it's an old report. It says that 90% of the professionals, the college graduates, when we consider, they are rejected. And 75% of the engineers who apply for job, they are rejected. Why? Because they are not good enough. They are not having good skills considering hands-on skills. They are not enough trained. So we understand that there is a top competent people. Although it is an old report, but that report, this report is very much relevant because it was a trigger. Companies like Infosys increased its training of employees to 29 weeks from this year. That was the year from where I took this data. And they said that mandatory 7 months training is required before they decide whether that prospective employee is going to join the company or not. So what we understand, there are many other challenges as well, which were needed to be addressed. One very important challenge which we have just discussed was that our students, our graduates, our engineers were not employable 100%. 2009 data says 90% graduates were not employable immediately after graduation without having skill-oriented training. 80% of cognitive development takes place between 0 to 6 years of age. Now, when I consider cognitive development between 0 to 6 years of age, and we try to understand what is the education system which we have studied, we try to understand, we understand it very clearly that the first entry level, although it is pre-KG, nursery, all those things were there, but actually formal education, it used to start from class 1. Means from 0 to 6 age, which is a very crucial period to develop to have the optimal development in cognitive skills, are not utilized properly. And it is a very, very important point to be focused, to have a great force, a generation which can contribute effectively towards the growth of India. If we look at RTE, that is right to education, it focuses on 6 to 14 years of age. So there is no focus between 0 to 6 years. Don't kids require proper care and training for optimal cognitive development? Of course, yes, they require. So we need to do something. And the answer is we need a more formal education for 3 to 6 years of age kids. And this challenge is addressed by using NEP. NEP also had addressed the employability, the hands-on training issue, which I discussed in the previous slide. That was also addressed through vocational training, which is considered as a mandate as per the policy. And before we go ahead with the policy, let us see what are the different policies, educational policies, which and what different reformation happened and which year. Who was the Prime Minister during that time, and what is the reformation of education policy which was done? 1968, it was Shri Indira Gandhi, the Prime Minister. The policy is promoting higher education among rural and urban. 1986, Prime Minister is Shri Rajiv Gandhi, and the policy is adult education and the empowerment of minorities. 1992, Prime Minister name is Shri P.V. Narasimha Rao, and the policy is common entrance examination for professional and technical education. 2005, year is 2005. Name of the Prime Minister is Shri Manmohan Singh, and the reformation is related to Common Minimum Program. 2016, after that, the name of the Prime Minister is Shri Narendra Modi. The policy is, the reformation is addressing the gender discrimination, formation of the educational tribunal, the common curriculum for science, mathematics, environment studies, and English. Means it was understood very clearly that the interdisciplinary approach is required now to address the requirements which are now shown as challenges to bridge the gap between SDG 4 and our existing status. Then in 2016. Next is the year is 2020. Name of the Prime Minister is Shri Narendra Modi, and it is, the reformation is reimagining vocational education, means hands-on training is going to play a very important role in all different stages of education. Catalyzing quality academic research in all fields by introducing the regulatory mechanism. Research is very important. Curbing commercialization of education effective governance and leadership for higher education, internationalization of professional education, promotion of Indian languages, arts, and culture. So this is NEP 2020. Now, there are many other related educational policies available. Now, these related education policies are Right to Education, which is RTE, the National Program for Education of Girls at Elementary Level. Next is Rashtriya Madhyamik Shiksha Abhiyan. Next is fourth one is Sakshar Bharat or adult education. Fifth one is Rashtriya Uchyatara Shiksha Abhiyan. Sixth one is Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan. Seventh one is Inclusive Education for Disabled at Secondary Stages. Eighth one is District Primary Education Program. Ninth one, Draft National Education Policy 2019. And the 10th one is the NEP 2020, that is New Education Policy 2020 for cognitive development and which enable reflective procedural development of children. So this is the roadmap what we have followed to reach National Education Policy 2020. Now, every policy which I have noted down here, what actually what aim or what was the objective for that specific Abhiyan is mentioned here. I'm not going through all the details. Just to summarize it, I can say that there were many Abhiyans which has addressed different challenges. For example, girls education, the elementary education, then the Madhyamik Shiksha Abhiyan, then the adult education, then the Uchyatara, that is higher education, then Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan, that is education for all, then inclusive education for disabled. But there were few key points which were not addressed. And those gaps were addressed by first Draft National Education Policy in 2019 and then by 2020 NEP, that is National Education Policy. If we take the NEP document 2020, there are mainly 4 parts. Part 1 is addressing to school education. Part 2 is addressing higher education. Part 3 is addressing other key areas of focus. And part 4 is related to implementation, how to make it happen, the roadmap, the strategy which we should follow. When we consider all these 4 parts, the first part that is related to the education, school education, here we can say that the different subparts or the different key points which is mentioned there are related to early childhood care and education, and it is the key term used for this is foundation of learning. That is the foundation education, which I already addressed, which will be between 3 to 6. Next is foundational literacy and numeracy. That means it is found that a class 5 student is not capable enough to understand a class 2 book or to teach a class 2 student. A class 5 student is not capable enough to solve mathematical problems which are discussed in class 2. Question is, how do we address those gaps? What strategies are to be adopted? How we should prepare ourselves? These are discussed in this key feature, which is related to the foundation literacy and numeracy. Next is curtailing dropout rates and ensuring universal access to education at all levels, considering the dimension which I mentioned at the beginning while discussing the challenges of any education policy. Curriculum and pedagogy in schools. Learning should be holistic, integrated, enjoyable, and engaging. Holistic education means it is not only what we learn considering the course syllabus. It must be much beyond. It must be much interdisciplinary. It must be multidisciplinary. It must address the creative aspects. It must enable the student to think critically, and most importantly, all the life skills which are required to understand how we can cultivate happiness and become an optimal contributor must be discussed. So that is holistic education, and it is discussed in this key point. Equitable and inclusive education, that is learning for all. Efficient resourcing and effective governance. Here also, since there are so many subparts there, I'll not go ahead with all the points, but there was an emphasis that now we'll be having only one, there will be only merit-based promotion. There will be only one, not many different categories in higher education. There will be only one body which will have 4 different departments, and many other related subparts are there. Then comes part 2. Part 2 deals with higher education. Quality universities and colleges, because we see that affiliated colleges are a category now. In India, we have deemed to be university, we have deemed university, we have private university, we have state university, we have central university, different categories of university. And when you try to compare them with our traditional university, like Nalanda, Takshashila, we try to understand that there are certain gaps. There are certain features which were there before, and now probably we are not able to, due to many subcategories, we are not able to address them in the most effective manner. Institutional restructuring and consolidation towards a more holistic and multidisciplinary education, optimal learning environment, support for students, motivated, energized, capable faculty, equity and inclusion in higher education, teacher education, reimagining vocational education, catalyzing quality academic research. Research is given a very significant role considering all levels of education and also for teachers, not only in the secondary education level. It is there not only in the higher education level, it is also there in the secondary education level, and also for to ascertain quality of the teachers. Transforming the regulatory system of higher education. Next is part 3, that is the part which deals with other key areas to focus. It focuses on what is professional education and some related aspects, adult education and lifelong learning, the different dimensions related to it, promotion of Indian languages, the regional languages, mother tongue. It is said that when a child learns using his mother tongue, he learns it in the best way. Again, at the same time, it is said that between 0 to 8 years, a child is most capable to learn multiple languages, means both are required. So here comes how we use the policy effectively to teach our young children. Next is online and digital education, ensuring equitable use of technology. Usage of technology is also a very important focus and part of NEP 2020. Strengthening the Central Advisory Board of Education, financing and implementation comes in the chapter 4 of part 4. So total there are 27 major guidelines, and they are categorized in 4 different parts. So when I consider these 4 different parts, school education, higher education, then other key important focused areas or areas to focus, and then how to implement, making it happen. We find that the summary is nothing but holistic development in every learner, holistic development in the growth of every individual. And here comes the 3 different dimensions of holistic education: personal, interpersonal, and societal. In each category, personal, interpersonal, and societal, this holistic education is actually one of the USP of the organization where I'm privileged to serve. And I take pride to speak about holistic education, the different dimensions, how it helps to make a happy living by an individual. So when we train, it is not only training an individual considering the skills which is required for employability. It is much beyond. It is to teach the individual, to teach every individual how we can be most effective, how we can be most happy, how we know the mantras of leading a happy, effective, how to lead a happy life, how to be a better, how to provide our services in a more optimal, effective way. So the brief history, if we try to discuss about the National Education Policy, 29 July 2020, it was uploaded NEP 2020. The Union Cabinet approved a new education policy after a 34 years gap. The previous policy, which I told that, which I already mentioned, that in 1990 it was modified and it is called National Policy on Education. That is NPE, National Policy on Education. What was the main focus? Focus was on access and equity, but quality was not mentioned. And we understood it very well that if we want to ensure that NASCOM after 10 years says that 100% of the Indian graduates are employable, or directly the companies can take them, in that case, probably the mantra which we need is quality education. So quality education was addressed by NEP 2020, and it outlined a vision for a completely new globalized education system in the country to meet SDG 4, the goals of SDG 4. So it bridges the gaps of fundamental education, primary education, secondary education, and higher education. How? I'll discuss. NEP 2020 aims to increase the gross enrollment ratio in higher education, including vocational education, from 26.3% to 50% by 2035. Here I'd like to mention that there are states in India, for example, Tamil Nadu, which has a very high GER, gross enrollment ratio, and there are many things to learn from various states. We should learn from each other, and the midday meal program is running successfully in many of the states. Even in Karnataka, being in Karnataka, we are privileged to first try to attempt this NEP 2020, which Karnataka has already implemented, and we also have proposed model curriculum focusing the key features of NEP 2020. 3.5 crores of new seats will be added to higher education institution. This is the opportunity what we are going to have. So when you consider the quality education and design a vision and framework, then there are two aspects. One is school education and one is higher education. School education, when you consider then the reformation which are brought by NEP, the policy envisages that the extent 10+2 structure in the school education will be modified with new pedagogical and curricular restructuring of 5+3+3+4, covering age 3 to 18. The existing system which was there, that was 10+2 framework, but the proposed framework which is given by NEP is 5+3+3+4. What is the meaning? The meaning is shown here. The previous academic structure used to start from age 6, the formal education. Before that, it was although nursery, PKG, UKG, all those things were there, but the actual study, the academic main focus used to be from age 6 to 16, that is 10 different classes, class 1 to class 10, and then from class 10, as soon as a candidate used to reach class 11, immediately create a hard bifurcation of the, not bifurcation, hard categories, create hard categories to discriminate arts, science, commerce, and so on. And this was the reason why NEP has restructured the 10+2 structure and proposed a new framework, which is 5+3+3+4. So when I say 5+3+3+4, 5 is actually between is the foundational period. Foundational period, as I mentioned, from the age when I consider the first 3 years, okay, first years from age 3 to age 6, and then age 6 to again age 8. So 3+2. These 5 years up to till the kid reaches class 2. These are called foundational years. So in foundational years, what is expected? The kid, it is expected that kid will be taught in a playful manner using different tools. And for example, instead of saying A for apple, it is good to give an apple to the kid and let the kid play with the apple to understand what actually apple is, to eat it, or maybe to feel it, and then teach what is actually an apple. So we mainly activity-based learning, and then along with that formal education. Then comes preparatory, that is between class 3 to class 5, again 3 years, class 3, class 4, class 5, between the age 8 to 11. Then comes the middle education. Middle education means between class 6 to class 8, age group will be 11 to 14, and finally the secondary education between ages 14 to 18, or we can say that from class 9 to 12. So when we consider these different categories, why was it created? It was created to introduce flexibility, to introduce multi-level play activity-based learning. Also, it is introduced to ensure that the stakeholders take part in discovery-based learning, activity-based pedagogical and curricular style of learning, and also, along with that, more formal but interactive classroom learning shall also be accompanied with that. Apart from that, the hard discrimination between science, arts, and the different other categories are minimized, so that a student who is very much interested in dance can learn computer science and engineering and dance together. Because when we consider the preparatory, after the preparatory age, when you consider the middle age, coding is recommended in the middle stage. Means from class 6 onwards, students are supposed to learn coding. They are supposed to go through various vocational training, which can help them later in employment. And that is why it is also, there is also an emphasis that the different subjects, when you consider how they are interlinked, it is very important to emphasize, not only to go for a specialization of a specific course. So abstract discussion and interlinking of different subjects is also given emphasis. Why major reforms from 10+2 to 5+3+3+4? It is very important to realize that if we consider subjects like physical education, arts and craft, vocational skills, science, humanities, mathematics, and many other different backgrounds, if we consider, then it is very important to understand that a multidisciplinary approach will actually help to find out what course, what training is considered as the best training for a specific student or a specific learner. And it is important to try hands in different vocational training as well, like carpentry could be a training, or maybe cooking could be a training, or there are many other vocational training which are proposed as a part of NEP. All these make education more holistic, and that was the major focus. Primary education might be given in mother tongue, as I already mentioned, but it is also said that it is kept as open because 0 to 8 years is considered as the age group when we learn the best any given programming, any given language, natural language, not programming language. Also, coding is considered as important, considering that India provides services and we earn a lot by providing services to many other companies which are not based in India. So 6th class onwards, when you consider that vocational education shall be focused, and it is gardening, for example, one more skill is gardening, which can be given to students. It is actually from Gandhiji's one statement Gandhiji has made, stating that charka training shall be a part and parcel as a part and parcel of school education. Means every student who is going through school education shall also know how to contribute to make khadi through charka training. Students' education doesn't remain limited to theory as it becomes more practical, so students enjoy learning and it becomes more holistic. By 2025, at least 50% of the learners, considering secondary and higher education, must have exposure to vocational training, educational training. Why? The answer is employability. Currently, gross enrollment ratio in India is 24 to 25%, but by 2035, it is expected to be double. Now, if it is expected to be double, it is not by increasing the infrastructure, what we can see, it is also the digital medium which is to be used, which is proposed to be used to reach that target. So gross enrollment ratio is expected to be doubled by 2035. And also it is important to strengthen the online pedagogy and the learning methodologies. That is why you have seen that nowadays since 2020, we have gone through many MOOC courses. There are many MOOC courses, massive online open courses, which are given by Coursera, various world-class universities. We have gone through them. We have completed them successfully, and those courses are really world-class. So we are fortunate to able to access them. Now, it is important to make it accessible by the whole India. So when you consider, we need a lot of fund in this regard. So a new regulatory authority for higher education with 4 departments is expected to look into 4 different sub-departments for fund allocation, setting standards, accreditation, and regulation. Multidisciplinarity is promoted. As I already mentioned, a computer science and engineering student can take psychology as a minor. A computer science and engineering student can take digital marketing as a minor. A computer science and engineering student can take maybe HR as a minor. So all these multidisciplinary approaches are encouraged. Affiliation colleges is expected to be removed, and then strong focus is given on improving teachers' quality. It has also addressed gender literacy gaps, and gender inclusion fund is to be established. It has proposed that giving, for example, to ensure that girl children can go for education, can have access to education. So bicycles can be given to them. Then it is also said that to create toilets in the schools and colleges, especially in the places where it is not available, to promote girl students not to stop going to school. Experiential learning is also a very important focus, because experiential learning, as I already mentioned, vocational training and all these actually are related to experiential learning, and expansion of relation among different subjects are also encouraged. Now, what is special in the middle school? When I consider the what is special in the middle school, then we need to check which years, which classes does it target, and what are the requirements for those classes. Then secondary stage, what is special? There also we find that in secondary stage, coding, multidisciplinary approach, and studying a topic in greater depth by enabling greater critical thinking, greater attention to life aspiration, to consider lifelong learning as one of the important focus, and to be flexible means when it comes to choice-based curriculum, to promote it even at the secondary stage level. So the bifurcation after class 10, which we used to go for either science or arts or commerce, that is not there. Now, when I consider, what if I ask a question, what will be the key overall thrust of curriculum and pedagogy reform across all stages? The answer is holistic education. Holistic education considering learning how to learn. It is not about learning a subject. It is not about learning a syllabus. It is not about learning a curriculum. It is learning how to learn. That is very, very important. I remember in 2015, I have gone through a MOOC course. The course was learning how to learn. I found it very interesting. And when I found that NEP also addresses the same statement, then I could realize that when we consider, because it was a MOOC course, so far as I remember, it was a Rice University course or MIT course it was. So now I realize that those universities which are present in USA or maybe probably in Europe, they have addressed many of the agendas what we are addressing now to reach the goals of SDG 4. Holistic education, which is actually an integration of cognitive skills, professional skills, personal skills, and building character. Because building character is considered as the prime focus and the fundamental building block of education. It will be to move the entire education system towards real understanding and towards learning how to learn. Means the rote learning will not be there. When I consider implementation of NEP, aim of education will not only be cognitive development, but also it shall be to consider the whole developed personality in 360-degree dimension and to provide services in the optimal manner to bridge the gaps, what we have and where we need to reach. Ultimately, knowledge is a deep-seated treasure and education helps in its manifestation as the perfection which is already there inside every individual. So when you consider the aspects which are related to NEP and the holistic education, we also understood one very important agenda. Now we have a lot of content in the curriculum, number of hours. If we compare our total number of hours for a course, the total number of credits which are required, and for example, the number of hours which are spent by probably a student who is studying in USA or probably in Europe, we find that here it is more about implementation. It is more about thinking. It is more about enhancing the critical thinking. It is more about discovery. It is more about analysis than only to cover the curriculum. So this is what is also addressed in National Education Policy. So idea is to keep the key concepts, ideas, applications, and problem solvings. Along with that, make it very, very interactive. The teaching and learning shall be in a more interactive manner. All questions shall be encouraged. And when you consider classroom, our classroom should be a happy environment filled with fun-based activities. It should be story-based teaching. It should be creative, collaborative learning. It should be exploratory activities which we can enjoy and learn. And overall, we can say that experiential learning. Objective is to empower the student and also to give the student an ability to go for various other interdisciplinary subjects, to create flexibility, to create flexibility in terms of time. There shall be multiple entry and exit points. So when you consider the classroom session shall be more interactive, it should be more fun, creative, collaborative, exploratory activities shall be there for learning every topic. More questions shall be asked. First, we should ask why, and then we should go ahead with other related perspective dimension to understand the concept, and then the mandate session, which are to cover the key concepts, to cover the key ideas, to cover the key application, and how to solve them when we take them in the real world. So if we do all of them, then automatically it becomes deeper, more experiential learning. So as I said, experiential learning first and foremost, I mentioned it at the very beginning, hands-on training, which was a lacuna before in 2000, as per the NASCAR report in 2009. Now, focus is on hands-on learning. Now I feel very happy when I see that a kid who is studying in class 7 also studying Python as a part of the course, also studying HTML as a part of the course, because we are fortunate enough to be in Karnataka and they are following books, which is as part NEP. Arts integrated and sports integrated curricula. Arts integrated and sports integrated. Why and how it helps, that I'll come to this point. Storytelling based pedagogy, explorations of relations among different subjects. That is the interlinking of the subject to understand the overall scenario, to understand how different subjects are linked, to understand the multidisciplinary approach and interdisciplinary approach. And storytelling based pedagogy is very popular, as it is said that it helps us to retain the knowledge, whatever we learn through storytelling based pedagogy for a long time. That is why it is adopted by many faculties, teachers, considering its impact among the stakeholders. So creating joyful classroom, imbibing the Indian ethos through integration of Indian art and culture in the teaching learning process at every level is considered as a key point of national education policy. We consider education and we consider culture. Now, if we try to find link between these two, in that case, this bond between education and culture can help us to reach much higher heights, considering the well-rounded and individual development, innovative development for every individual. And also it will help us to transform the whole country educationally as well as economically. So cross-curricular pedagogical approach is considered as one of the important key factor, and the inspiration was taken from the ancient Indian universities like Takshashila, Nalanda, Vallavi, Vikramshila, which demonstrated the type of great success that large multidisciplinary research and teaching universities could bring, because thousands of students from India and different parts of the world have studied, and they have contributed to research and in different technological developments. Now, art integration, why it is important to be understood, and that is why it is considered as a major focus. The sports integration, we know that if we consider physical sports, then physical sports is not only physical fitness, it is also mental fitness, because through this we also address the agenda, the health agenda, positive health agenda of Sustainable Development Goals of United Nations 2030, list of agendas. So considering all these, if we try to summarize a few key points, which we found that from 10+2 framework, we are moving towards 5+3+3+4 framework. This is for the school education. Now, when I consider the undergraduate degree structure, which could be 3 years as well as 4 years. 3 years, for example, if it was for BA, BCom, 4 years BTech, BE, B Pharma, and it shall have multiple entry and exit option. Means a student who is studying probably the second year of BTech degree can shall have a exit option with probably a certificate, maybe a diploma certificate. Then after 3 years, if the student is leaving, if the candidate is leaving, in that case, advanced diploma certificate shall be provided. If the candidate is completing 4 years, then definitely the BTech degree certificate is provided. Apart from that, higher educational institution now will have the option of offering 1-year master's degree as a part of NEP 2020. 1-year master degree is applicable when we consider 4 years of undergraduate course, that, for example, BTech. MPhil is discontinued. MPhil is discontinued as research was considered as a part and parcel of the final year of the degree education. And hence, after degree, a student is eligible directly to join PhD instead of going for MPhil education program. There will be no hard separation between arts and science, between curricular and extracurricular activities, between vocational and academic streams, and to eliminate harmful hierarchies among and the silos between different areas of learning. There shall be no silos. Okay. Now, when we consider higher education, our main objective is holistic development. We want holistic development, whole personality development for every individual. And considering the higher education sector, what are the challenges, current challenges, which were addressed by National Education Policy? Severe fragmented higher educational ecosystem was there. Computer science and engineering, complete computer science and engineering for all 4 years. There is no scope to include psychology as a part of computer science and engineering. That was a fragmented higher education. Less emphasis on the development of cognitive skills and learning outcomes. Focus was more on the syllabus, curriculum, more number of teaching hours, more number of credits. Rigid separation of disciplines, as I already mentioned. Limited access, particularly in socio-economically disadvantaged areas, with few higher education institutions that teach in local language. Language was also a barrier. So now Indian languages are promoted. Limited teacher and institutional autonomy, inadequate mechanism for merit-based career management. Now, merit-based career management is proposed as a part of NEP. Lesser emphasis on research, as I mentioned. Now, research is considered not only as a part and parcel of higher education, it is also a part and parcel of the secondary education. Large affiliating universities resulting in low standards of undergraduate education. So the key changes which are proposed in the system is moving towards faculty and institutional autonomy, moving towards multidisciplinary education. And when we consider medium of instruction, it could be Indian languages, and universities are considered as multidisciplinary. And there must be at least one university in every district or near every district. Revamping curriculum, pedagogy, assessment, and student support for enhancement of the student experiences is very, very important. So modern curriculum, when we try to propose, considering the NEP guidelines, NEP policy, it proposes all guidelines, because it's not like a NEP where we have the measures, how much it is, we can do the validation, how much it is followed, or how much evidence is there. Then reaffirming the integrity of faculty and institutional leadership, establishment of National Research Foundation to fund outstanding peer-reviewed research, and governance of higher education institutions by highly qualified independent boards. Light but tight regulation is expected, and increased access, equity, inclusion through a range of measures, including greater opportunities for outstanding public education, scholarship by private philanthropic universities, for underprivileged students, online education and open distance learning, along with all infrastructure and learning materials are made available to the learners with disabilities. These were the focus. I could not include all of them because it is a 60-page document. So now I'd like to share the experience what we have got while preparing model curriculum. It is only my personal experience which I have included in this slide. The first and foremost is to understand what is expected in NEP and the higher education. If we belong to higher education, then as a part of higher education, what are the different issues we need to address? And then creating a template which can be optimally aligned with the guidelines given by policy NEP 2020. Next, writing the credits for each semester, considering those guidelines and creating based on the template which we have created. Next is creating buckets for each category for each semester, because we have to introduce flexibility. To introduce flexibility, we need a range of subjects. We need to address that the best of the technology, if we are considering technical education, then the best of the technology, or if we are considering management education, then whatever is required now based on the market demand, we have a bucket which is ready, the list of subjects, which is also suggested by the industry experts or maybe academia experts. And then to fill the template with the courses from the bucket, refine the course structure, collect feedback from 360-degree stakeholders, and finally to finalize the proposed course structure. So here I have included a sample model. For example, if I consider BTech, then as per BTech, I have to check how many credits are required as per the AICTE model curriculum. Now, based on that, I have to divide the credits in different semesters, and then I have to check what are the major areas to focus, key focused areas as per NEP. And I create, for example, I know that there must be skill enhancement courses, there must be value-based courses, there must be ability enhancement courses, because if a student is leaving the course, taking the exit after second year of study, in that case, he or she shall be able to get some employment using that certificate, which is given to him after 2 years. So we have to include courses which can help him to get him a job. So ability enhancement courses can be put in that basket. Skill enhancement courses can be identified and can be put in a basket. Similarly, value-based courses, which are related to the holistic education, holistic development of every individual, considering personal skills, interpersonal skills, and societal skills, shall also be there. Discipline-based courses as per the AICTE model curriculum, whatever courses we need, and the discipline 4 courses as per the AICTE model curriculum, what we need. We have to create a map. We have to create a matrix which can address all of them, and then we fill the subjects in the course structure, and we ensure that there are exit options with certificate. If yes, then how many credits are required? If there is exit option after third year, how many credits are required? And then if there is a exit option after 130 credits, completion of 130 credits, what are the exit options that we have to formulate, and we have to get the finally approved matrix. So apart from that, the phase 2, which I was discussing, that if I consider, say, we have created model curriculum and we have floated among the stakeholders. Now, it is very important to understand that we have to collect feedback from the stakeholders, and then people can make use of the technologies, artificial intelligence-based technologies, to improve the curriculum. That would be even more helpful for more effective implementation of NEP 2020 and to bridge the gaps of Sustainable Development Goals of 2020. So here I have included a strategy. The strategy is artificial intelligence-based strategy, which uses sentiment analysis, and the data set which we have collected as a part of our study is, this is the data set which we have collected. We have collected the data set from the Twitter, and then these are the different sentiments which are classified as positive, negative by using NLP-based tool. And then this is the deep learning-based tool which is used to understand how effectively it is able to categorize the sentiments. And this is line by line, if every sentiment or the opinion which is given by probably different stakeholders who are talking about NEP, whether it is positive, negative, to level them. I hope it is visible. So
Yes, ma'am.
that's all. Yeah, thank you, sir. One second, sir. I think I have reached my last slide already, and I am going back to the slides. Yeah. So this is the overall summary of the method, the AI-based method. So in conclusion, I can say that national education policy emphasizes the importance of more sustainable, skill-oriented, value-based education. And objective is to encourage universal, empirical, multidisciplinary, discussion-based, analysis-based learning. And objective is also to ensure that our children can enhance their cognitive development to its maximal level by utilizing NEP. And the draft NEP, which I also discussed at the very beginning, is also very helpful, and it has helped us to get NEP 2020, which was proposed in 2020 to 29 July, and we can further improve the implementation of NEP if we make use of the technologies which we have, AI-based technologies, and then we can improve the model curriculum which we propose for students. And with these references, I would like to conclude. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am. So dear participants, now the platform is open for the question and answer session. If you have any question, kindly unmute and ask the question to the speaker.
We all are learning, and we are implementing NEP, and we are privileged to be in Bangalore, which is in Karnataka. That it is the first state to implement NEP 2020.
1 minute. Smita Narika, just a minute, ma'am.
Good evening. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon, madam.
Yeah, it was a night session. We got to know a lot of information. Ma'am, what do you think at this stage, if we are implementing the NEP, do you think the students are going to be benefited at the early stage, or it is going to be helpful by the time they are going to finish their graduation? What do you think, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. First of all, thank you for asking a wonderful question. My first, there are multiple levels which I should use to answer this question. First level is, if we ask a kid which is probably 6 years old, how do you enjoy your learning? And we follow the traditional learning technique using the book, how we have studied as when we were students. And the current learning, which is proposed as activity-based learning, of course, the answer will be activity-based learning. Everyone, each of us, if the environment is, if our students feel that it is fun, it is not learning which is stressful, in that case, automatically, due to our mind, a human brain is trained in that manner that if we feel that yes, it is good, it is fun, it is a lot of fun, automatically learning curve increases. This is the first level. Second level is, in the national education policy, we have seen that since the framework itself has changed from 10 plus 2 to 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. So what happened? It has enabled us to become multidisciplinary automatically, because there is no bifurcation. When we come to class 11, there is no bifurcation. The bifurcation happens as at 5, then next 3, then next 3, and then last 4. Last 4 years, that is from 8, 9, 10, 11. All these 4 years are together. Since that bifurcation is not there, so the critical thinking, which happens due to linkage of different subjects from different courses, that also becomes optimal. So the learning curve again increases. More than that, vocational training, which is, for example, any training which can help us to get a certificate, which can be used by the student to get a job, maybe after finishing maybe class 10 or maybe class 12, or maybe consider just maybe first 2 years of BTech. So what happens if the student is able to get a job or create a job for himself? In that case, the employability aspect is also automatically addressed. So it is beneficial at all stages in fundamental education, in primary education, in secondary education, and in higher education. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thanks a lot, ma'am. Thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. Now we have a question from Professor Shama Hegde.
Good afternoon, ma'am. This
Good
is
afternoon,
Shama
madam.
Hegde. Ma'am, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, my question to you is just similar to this. Like you have talked about various existing and various education policies which were before, and somewhere it is similar to NEP. So why do you think that there was a need of bringing an revised form of education policy, even though if there are these various education policies already existing? Like in country like India, we always see that most of the policies are already existing, but we again revise it and implement it, wherein it takes a lot of effort and energy and resources also. So what is your perspective on this, ma'am?
Well, during my session, I mentioned that there were few agenda which were not addressed. For example, our framework was actually 10 plus 2 when I consider education. So if it is 10 plus 2 framework, what happens? There is a clear bifurcation after class 10. It becomes either after from 11, it has to be either science or commerce or arts. Now, due to these categories, the hard categories, what happens? The interdisciplinary or multidisciplinary approach was missing. So the learning curve, automatically, it could not reach its optimal state. Number one. Number two, we have seen that it has been 34 years. 34 years means after 1986 education policy, there was only a refinement in 1992. But there was no major refinement which were required to bridge the gaps of the requirement, which is a part of the agenda given by United Nations 2030 goal. So if we consider 2030 goal, then using our current existing policies, what we had, which is actually 34 years old, there was no emphasis given on the students who are between the age group 0 to 6 years. But cognitive development, 80% happens between 3 to 6 years. That was missing. So there were many vocational training was missing. So our students, although they finish engineering, although they finish graduation, companies were not able to give them job immediately without giving them any extra training. So all these reasons were sufficient enough to go for major refinement. And that is why NEP which we have now, we should try to utilize it in the most optimal manner, and based on a need and requirement, we need to refine our model curriculum. Thank you, ma'am. I hope I could answer your question.
Yes,
we
ma'am.
have-
Definitely, you will make a
Thank you, ma'am.
clarity. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Up next, we have one more question in the queue here by Professor Anita. So what are the career opportunities for the faculties after NEP?
That's a beautiful question. Well, NEP there is a section called teacher quality in NEP. So that teacher quality, it talks a lot about the qualification which is required from a teacher. So this NEP document is available, which is a 60-page document. So if we consider NEP, we have to ensure that we fulfill the essential qualification which is given, which is mentioned in NEP, because very soon they will be a part and parcel if we consider NEP enabled curriculum. I hope I could answer the question.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. One more question in the queue here, that there are the NEP is going to be implemented at the two level, the higher education level as well as the school level. So Professor Lohit has posted a question here. How have you changed? How can we bring a change in our teaching in the two different sets of students, like the higher education as well as the lower education? I mean to say the school level.
Yeah, very good question. Thank you, sir. Well, when I consider the education, which is probably the secondary education, I'll say, which is from class 8 to class 12, or before that, maybe if I consider from class 6 to class 8. And the higher education means after class 12. Now, the challenges for each course or each domain, for example, computer science and engineering, which is required from probably a computer engineer, or probably a professional who has completed MBA, or a professional who has completed BBA, we know there are course outcomes. There are graduate attributes. And when I consider a student who has completed class 10, the expectation from the class 10 student and the BTech student, or probably MBA student, the expectations are different, which is provided already in the outcome-based curriculum as graduate attributes. For probably engineering students, I have noted it down because I belong to computer science and engineering. I know that there are certain program outcomes which are to be addressed. There are certain graduate attributes. For every course, we have a course outcome. Now, all these are we are considering from the perspective of outcome-based education. If I consider the school level education, then school level education also, for every subject, there is an outcome. Before, when we read the subject, there are objectives and there are outcomes. And objective is always, while teaching, objective means that the learning outcomes must be met. So since that challenges are different for school level and for higher education, so the strategies, how we meet them, that also will not be completely same. And that is why in NEP, they are also addressed in two different sections. I have shown at the very beginning of my talk that there are 4 sectors. Part 1 is addressing school education. Part 2 is addressing higher education. So they know that it is different. That is why they have kept it differently. It is not the same policy for everybody. There are, like in our book, we have different segments. Part 1, we finish, then we go for part 2. So in the same line, in NEP also, we have part 1, which is addressing school education. Then we have part 2, which is addressing higher education. I hope I could answer your question, sir.
Yes, yeah, correct.
Yeah, thank you.
I think there's one more question on this, on the similar line here, that what are the changes in the board examination pattern? This question is asked by Rashmi Emerji, madam.
Okay, ma'am, it changes in the board examination pattern, that I'm not the perfect person to answer this question, because there is a board who decides what will be the rules and regulations and what will be the pattern. Since I do not handle board exam considering class 10, class 12, I have not gone through documents, but those documents must be available once they are approved by the board. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. The last question by Professor Rekha, ma'am, that how can a community contribute to the holistic development of learners?
Wonderful question. Such a beautiful question. When I consider a community consists of many individuals. If every individual is, if holistic education is utilized for the development of every individual, if every individual is developed considering the life skills which are required for optimal performance in different scenarios, in that case, automatically the community also will be holistically developed. Apart from that, this is one aspect. Apart from that, there must be ways, for example, education. When I consider education, if holistic education is a part and parcel of the curriculum, automatically every individual who is going through the curriculum will be holistically educated to some extent. It will not be 100% because each learner is different, each learner is unique. So, but yes, since after going through the curriculum, after training, we know that some people who take the training, they get 100%. Some people who take the same training, they get 70%. So there comes our personal skills. But it is true that the community will also get developed if the holistic education becomes a part and parcel of the education which is used to cultivate that specific community. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much. If there's any question, kindly post it in the chat box quickly. Any other questions?
Good afternoon, Mausumi ma'am.
Good afternoon,
Sahana
madam.
here, Assistant
Yeah, good
Professor, NASCAR College. I have a question, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
So,
Yes, ma'am.
since many changes have been introduced in the academic system of, by introducing NEP in India, and also according to NEP, students willing to complete their graduation, they have to study for 4 years, while they can easily complete their diploma degree in 2 years. How it is going to affect their higher studies, ma'am? Especially those who completes their diploma degrees in 2 years.
Ma'am, here I would like to just tell you, now it is the framework itself is going to change. It is going to become more flexible. So earlier, when a student goes for example, for a BTech degree, the student in between, for example, after paying the fees of first 2 years, he is unable to pay the fee of third year. Maybe some unfortunate incident happened and he is not able to pursue. I know such students who, completed engineering with a lot of difficulty. Now, for those kind of students, they have the opportunity that they can take an exit with a certificate. They can go for, they can join a job with that certificate, with that diploma, because it will be a diploma. If they finish engineering, they are not able to finish 4 years of engineering, they are dropping out in between, creating an exit option after 2 years, then he is getting probably a diploma. If he is exiting after third year, then he is getting an advanced diploma. So now it is more flexible. I remember when I was in US, in Utah, I went to a gym, and that the lady who also used to visit the same gym, she was telling that her husband is studying engineering. When she came to know that I'm an engineer, then she said that, my husband took a break for 1 year. So we are, enjoying this 1 year period, and he is also focusing to earn a little bit more. I was surprised because such policies I had never heard of. It was in the year probably 2009. And I was thinking, if such policies were there in India, then probably many girls who are pursuing engineering or maybe any other professional courses, they will pursue education further, because I know many meritorious students, girls especially, who do not pursue education after probably getting married or due to some family reasons or something. So Now the course itself will become flexible due to implementation of NEP. So now we have more opportunities, not less. I hope I could answer your question, madam.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much. Suplab sir, any questions?
Okay, madam, I have one
sir.
question.
Yes, sir.
Can we link the holistic education with a sustainable education system?
Wonderful, sir. Sustainable education has got many perspectives. As I said in the very beginning, sustainable education means it could be healthy education. If I say healthy education, then it is not only physical health, it is mental health. If I say it is mental health, then automatically it is holistic education. Because mental health is a person will be happiest if he knows the skills how to be happy. And where it is taught? It is taught as a part of holistic education. I hope I could answer that question, sir. Anything else?
Yes,
Shall I?
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Thank
No,
you.
because that we get the lots of inspiration when we go through that your profile. So not only that, lots of time that you spend for this, all the academic activities, the different program to attend, but still that you have the keen interest to that music, yoga, and other activities. So do you think so that you can suggest to that all the faculties that yes, when we are talking about the holistic education, we are talking about sustainable education. So we can re-energize with the different things to be done.
Yes,
And
definitely,
yes,
sir.
okay,
Definitely,
thank
sir.
you.
I just want to cite one example. In 2020, I was attending a AICT that is called Atal FDP. I was attending, that is AICT sponsored FDP.
Yes, yes.
So when I was attending that FDP, every day there was a session on meditation. So, and it seems if we consider our next breath, if we keep it in our left hand, and if we consider all our assets, whatever we have, our knowledge, skills, degrees, money, everything in our right hand, we understand what is the importance of our next breath. And that understanding the importance or to focus on the more positive aspects, it is enabled through holistic education. And maybe when we go for different, multiple, maybe for yoga, for different types of music, dance, and all, that also actually not only they work as a stress buster, that also help us to think better, to link them better. Thank you very much, sir.
Yes. No, because the point why I asked that one, once that NEP started implementing, and we all of us as a faculty member, we attend so many program, and even institution also, they are forcing us to do so many things, so many way, the different way that we have to develop ourselves. It's sometimes we feel that extra burden. It is suddenly that some of the different issues it has come to our life. So if we get and some of that this type of encouragement or motivation, so I think that we can motivate ourselves. It is a self motivation, and because we have to survive, there is no way that it is we if we are not accepting all the changes, that we cannot survive. So it is better to accept it, and what are the different alternative options, and we can go through that, so that in our life also can have that it is called work-life balance.
Yes, sir.
Correct. Okay.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
So it was really nice session, madam. That all the 3 days we had the the eminent professors, the experience today also, that we had that better and very good experience with your all the that explanations, discussion, and all the things. Thank you, madam. With a very short period of time that that you agreed for this with your busy schedule, we understand that when that all the reputed institution and their faculty member, that how much they are putting effort to implement this NEP program. And with this all the busy schedule, that you accepted our invitation. And thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for the opportunity. And my sincere thanks to the entire management, to all the participants, and all the dignitaries present here. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I request all the participants to switch on the camera. We will have a photo session. The technical committee kindly enable them to switch on the camera.
Yeah, all the participants can switch on the cameras. Just a minute. Yeah, done it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Dear participants, the feedback form is posted in the chat box. To receive the e-certificate, kindly fill the feedback form. Now I request Professor Lalita to render formal vote of thanks. Lalita ma'am. Please unmute. Lalita ma'am, please unmute. Please unmute. 1 minute, 1 minute. Just a minute.
Am I audible, sir?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible now.
Good evening, everyone. Accept your past without regret. Handle your present with confidence. Face your future without fear. APJ Abdul Kalam. With this quote, I, Lalita, Assistant Professor, Department of Commerce and Management, it's my privilege to have been asked to propose a vote of thanks on this occasion. First and foremost, I would like to thank Dr. D. Hemachandra Sagar, the chairman, Dayananda Sagar Institution, Dr. D. Premachandra Sagar, vice chairman, Dayananda Sagar Institution, Sri Gali Swami, a secretary, Dayananda Sagar Institution. Thank you, sir, for giving the opportunity to conduct a faculty development program. I wish to express my gratitude for today's speaker, Dr. Mausumi Goswami, Associate Professor, Department of Computer Science and Engineering, Christ, deemed to be University, Bangalore, for sharing a valuable information on implementation of NEP, a roadmap for a quality education, research, and academic excellence. Ma'am also talked about a sustainable education system, holistic development, and also a key proposal of NEP, that is 10+2, a structure in a school education will be modified with a new pedagogical and curricular restructuring of 5+3+3+4, covering the age group between 3 to 18. Ma'am, your ideas and research about NEP has brought a new dimension and enriched us with the great insights. Thank you, ma'am. I would like to express my sincere thanks to our respected principal, Dr. Nagaraj Shanai, who has always been a motivator and backbone to our department, and also Vice Principal Professor Hemant Upala for their support. I also extend thankful note to our IQAC coordinator, Professor Gurunath. Thank you, sir. I would like to take this opportunity to place on record our hearty thanks to our beloved HODs, Professor Murgesha BM, Head of the Department of Commerce, and Dr. Suplab Kanti Podu, Head of the Department of Management. Thank you, sir. I must mention our deep sense of appreciation to our teaching fraternity for their enormous cooperation for organizing this faculty development program and also for making this event a successful one. Finally, I would like to thank participants from various institutions for your active participation in the program and also technical committee who made this event a great reality. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, Lalita ma'am. So learning is an unending process. So let's learn unlearn and relearn. With this note, we would like to close the session. Happy learning. Thanks to all the eminent teaching fraternity who have joined today's session and have made all the 3 days FDP a successful one. Thank you so much, everybody. You can fill the feedback form, which is in the chat box. You can fill it, and you can receive the e-certificate of participation